Welcome back for another video. It's Eharbad, and we are back in Raid Shadow Legends. The portal is glowing purple. We have our first guaranteed champion for quite a while, particularly really on the Void side. We have had a couple of pseudo-guaranteed champions as part of the Mikage fusion. I'm discounting those. If we exclude those, which, maybe I should or shouldn't, who knows, but anyway, I'm excluding them. If we exclude those, we actually haven't had a guaranteed for a while, and we haven't had a void for a very long time. Now, the first question, is Valkonen any good? And I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't really looked too closely at his kit, but he has the classic problem that a lot of champions have. And that is, he's an attack-based champion, doesn't hit hard enough to guarantee killing his targets, and he has no way of staying alive. Like, that is generally the biggest problem with interesting attack-based champions, is if they do not have a way of staying alive, then you're going to have problems. It does have an interesting passive, though, so let's have a little read of it. We place a shield buff on the champion every time an ally or enemy champion dies, which, it's pretty good. It helps to add a bit of survivability, but is it going to be enough? Personally, not really. I'd like to see it in use, but I would expect that is not enough to keep you alive against a well-built nuker, at least not without some form of protection. If you have a net crit, great. If you don't, you're going to struggle. Whenever the enemy hits this champion while they're under a shield buff, and we place a random debuff on the attacking enemy. Again, slight problem because of polymorph. So, issues because of polymorph. It does have block revive, which is actually pretty good. That does help quite a lot. And the attack does ignore unkillable shield and ally protection. So that's pretty good against killing champions that are protected by net crit. And block revive is very useful in the revive heavy meta. We do have this, is quite good because it bypasses the Duchess passive. And Hex is reasonably interesting as a mechanic in general. But again, it's just like the setup required, ignoring for each dead ally. This thing about, where was it? The passive, getting the shield each time an ally or champion dies. The chances of this champion staying alive and other champions in your team being dead, let's be honest, that's pretty low if you're not putting him in stone skin and running a deliberately squishy champion. The targeting an ally, if the ally is alive, kills them and unlocks a secret skill. I mean, that's pretty risky. Maybe in tag team you could run that, but in live arena, I think that's pretty risky. And where do you use that in general PvE content? You don't really. If the ally is dead, heals his champion by 50% of the ally's max HP. Yeah, I mean, again, attack-based champion, we're not going to be running huge amounts of HP, so pretty problematic. If all allies are dead, unlocks a secret skill. Which is this. So this most interesting mechanic is actually only unlocked if all allies are dead, or if you kill your own ally. I don't know. Like, it's a bit weird, really. We have a nice speed aura in arena. I always just feel like these kind of attempted champions rarely truly work. Like, there's so much setup required to get this champion working. And if we go and just have a look at some of the main champions that people are running, typically you'll find they require zero setup or set themselves up. Now, where is Rotos hiding? There we go. No conditional. Has a good chance of generating a second turn. Zero conditional has a very good way of stealing HP and destroying max HP. The only conditional part here is the block revive. Otherwise, you're ignoring huge amounts of defense, ignoring unkillable, ignoring block damage. You've got the two kind of unkillable mechanics being ignored with a massive ignore defense. And you can eventually block revive as well. But no setup really required for this to very high chance of just killing someone, and you get an extra turn if you kill them. No conditional required on that. And then the passive, you've got this amazing ability to stay alive with no condition. And then if you have Siffy, obviously completely busted. And it's like, that's the common trait. You look at Candrathon, there's no conditionality on his abilities. He is very strong from start to finish. His biggest issue, you could say, is his affinity. And it just goes on, where's Harima hiding? If we had a look at, sorry, not Sylvan Watchers, what am I doing? Shadowkin. You look through, obviously Ghost Harass, most ridiculous of them all. And the reality is these champions don't have hugely complex conditional kits. You have the Irresistible if it's Demon Spawn, which is a nice little extra add, but it's a damn good ability, irrespective. Like, Purgative Punishment's very strong. The passive is super good. The reducing ignore defense effects by 50%, really strong. The fact that Demon Spawn can't inflict critical hits, really strong. But there's no real conditionality here. Like, Harima is going to be fantastic all the time. You could just do the same. You could look at Jorgid, you could look at a bunch of other champions. So he's not that good, but he's a guaranteed champion for 100 voids, and we haven't had one for a long time. I do think there's a slight chance that there could be another one coming up during the holiday period. So maybe if you are on the fence and you don't have a large stockpile, you might want to roll the dice and see if there's a better one coming up, in the next month. But there's no guarantees, and we haven't had one for a long, long time. So I definitely wouldn't be relying that that's going to happen. Before we pull on my account, because I am going to pull, I do have enough resources, I want to make a couple of quick comments. One, the champion training tournament, I am going to go and get this skin. I think it's worth getting. Why not? Legendary book for 10,000 is pretty much enough reason to do this tournament anyway. And for an extra 2,500 points to get an interesting skin, I think that's probably, for me, that's where skins should be anyway. I know obviously I'm free to play, so you can't listen to me when it comes to whether you should spend on the game or not. And I'd never advise anyone to do anything. Like, people choose what they want to do with their own money. But in terms of getting player engagement, I think having the access to the skins as rewards for playing the game is probably the right way to get people to actually participate in the events and tournaments and make it like a fun part of the game. And we have to recognize that a tournament like this is actually a fun tournament for the players. Granted, those of us who have played for a very long time are a bit tired of champion training itself, and maybe there's aspects of champion training that could be improved. But objectively speaking, this set of rewards is pretty much as fun as it gets in Raid. Like, we have to appreciate that. And we do have this Titan Christmas event coming up, which I'll cover when it goes live, and we can have a little look through the actual rewards. The other thing I really always want to draw attention to is you can pick up the energy reward extremely easily in this Soul Chase tournament. Pretty much 110 pull will get it. And I'm probably going to get this 150 gems as well. I think beyond that, I probably won't bother. But I do think it's going to be worth me picking up the gems and the energy. That'll help me do the champion training and get that skin. And it's a relatively small investment. So let's summon that first. We need 75 roughly, I think it was. I wasn't really paying attention. 75 points here in the Altar of Souls. We've got a good collection of shards. And I think we've done it just on this 10 pull. So let's see. 2-star Cold Heart, that's not going to improve any of the things I have. I don't even have Isilnir. 1-star Painkeeper, no use either. And we do have a legendary, not one I have, or one I even know. Who is Belisar? Anyway, they keep adding new champions. But yeah, I think that's worth doing, and I just want to recommend to anyone watching that I do think for a relatively small number of small soul stones, you can get a good return here. 150 gems and 300 energy is pretty damn good. Right then, we have the main topic of conversation for this video: 100 void shards. The dream is not Valkanon himself. The dream would be any of the S tier void legendaries that I don't have, be it Siphi, Warlord, Yumiko, Grazur, Akrisia, Necret, you name it. Taras, Marishka, you name it, I don't have it. Anyway, let's just see. Whatever we get would be cool. Like if we get 2 void legendaries, I'll be happy, as in the guaranteed and 1 extra. Even if it was a shoddy dupe. The other thing I'd quite like is to pick up some of the Mikage food, basically. So let's say we started off with 10 rares. That's pretty much par for the course when you're summoning on a 1x. That is part of the problem, and we are 20 blues deep. So someone on my Discord actually posted that they got 4 legendaries, including the Valkanon, which is insanely good and massive amounts of luck. And I'm not expecting anything like that. So far, we've got 1 epic in 30. But interestingly enough, I actually think Andrisia is new for me. So, I'll take that. A new champion's always nice to flesh out the roster. We do think these Pokemon, these champions are like Pokemon in that you got to collect them all, right? What I was trying to say, but I was getting ahead of myself. A couple of Painkeepers there, very nice for Sand Devil. I'm actually considering updating my team for Sand Devil and moving to the Emic version, and we have got a legendary. Oh, it's a dupe Supreme Gale. I said I'd be happy even if it was a dupe, so I'll stay with that. Yay! Yeah. Actually, 3rd Inquisitor Shamail, always good fun. I will almost certainly build him to have more flexibility and options for Hydra. So that's something. Are we going to be greedy and say we hope we get another legendary? One of those S tier ones? I think it's fair to hope, but we don't expect. We have, of course, also reset Mercy, so we're back at the beginning of that. I really should try and start to monitor where I am on Mercy, because particularly with like the progressive summons, where we now get 15x as a starting point on Void champions, I think that could be really interesting to try and target specific Void legendaries if you're quite close to Mercy. But I definitely want to keep a note of it, and I'm going to try and make a concerted effort to do so going forward. I've never really bothered before, mostly because I don't tend to chase 10x's, but I think I should just do it anyway. How many have we pulled? Oh, yeah, okay, finally. 10 more. Felt like we'd pulled hundreds because of the amount of rares we'd picked up. Was that like the 8th Cold Heart or something? It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, we did get another legendary. Oh no, it's a 3rd Whirlim. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. And another Cold Heart and Valkanon. I called it, didn't I, when I said about the dupes? Of all the champions we could have got, the only new one is an Andrisia. And obviously Valkanon. Yeah, I mean, yeah, what can I say? To get 2 additional Void legendaries, fantastic RNG. Like, extremely lucky, no doubt at all. But both of those to be dupes is kind of tragic. Absolutely tragic. Who was the first one? I can't even remember now. It's all gone wrong. It was Dark Elves with the Supreme Kale. Man, that's wild. I could go through and show all the Void legendaries I don't have, but I won't bother. There's a lot of them. and we managed to get 2 more dupes, including my first triple Void legendary in the infamous Whirling Frost King, the only battle pass that's ever been. And on that note, I will thank you all for watching. Please do like, comment, and subscribe, and I will hopefully be back sooner than later on the next video. Until then, I will bid you good night.